Hello. Okay, last lecture we finished the lecture with a type of a pituitary tumor due to hypersecretion of the or excessive secretion of the hormone prolactin. It's a case which is called hyperprolactinemia. And we have seen that how the severe case of this pituitary tumor can result to a pressure on the optic chiasma. As you can see, the pressure on the optic chiasma. Let's put a timer, sorry, a pointer. Okay. So you can see how it pressures over the optic chiasma, and you can see how the here the normal pituitary gland, when the region is which is secreting the prolactin, have a tumor, it will enlarge and pushes on the optic chiasma. You can see as well how this tumor can affect the vision through the affecting the temporal visual field. As well, you can see the different types of the vision can result from the fusion failure, because normally in normal individuals there is a fusion between the two vision of each eye into single vision. But due to the presence of the tumor, it may cause different cases according to severity of the pituitary tumor, either overlap, gap, or vertical sliding, and these all are fusion failure. The most type of it is bitemporal hemianopic defect. Today, we'll talk about two other hormones that is collectively is called gonadotropins, LH and FSH. If you remember, it starts from the hypothalamus, where the gonadotropin releasing hormone will send the signal to the pituitary gland, in which the cells responsible for secreting these hormones is a gonadotroph. These gonadotrophs will soon secrete LH and FSH to the blood. Both of these hormones, both of these gonadotropins will affect the gonads. Either in female, it will promote the secretion of estradiol and progesterone that promote ovulation, while in males, it will promote the secretion of testosterone and inhibin, which promote spermatogenesis. And of course, these hormones, once their function is terminated, or they are highly high in concentration in the blood, they will provide a negative feedback either on the level of the pituitary gland or on the level of the gonadotropin, or on the hypothalamus. Same as well in males. So it will provide two levels of a feedback, of a negative feedback. So LH, or luteinizing hormone, and the follicle stimulating hormone, as we said, it stimulates gonads. LH and FSH are large glycoproteins. That means they are proteins that attach to a carbohydrate moiety. Both are not necessary for life, but are essential for reproduction. They are secreted from the gonadotrophs, which represent 10 to 15% of the functional anterior pituitary gland. Although most gonadotrophs secrete only LH or FSH, but some appear to secrete both hormones. So what is the physiological effects of gonadotropins? For luteinizing hormone, in both sexes, LH stimulates the secretion of sex steroids from the gonads. In testes, the LH bind to the receptors on Leydig cells and stimulate the synthesis and secretion of testosterone, while in ovary, LH stimulates production of testosterone, which is soon converted to estrogen, by the adjacent cells. In females, the ovulation of mature follicle is induced by large bursts of LH secretion. And this large burst is called a pre-ovulation LH surge. And the residual cells within the ovulated follicles proliferate and they divide more to form corba lutea, which secrete the steroid hormone progesterone and estradiol. The progesterone is necessary for maintenance of pregnancy, and LH is also required for the continuing development and function of corba lutea. So where the name luteinizing hormone came from? It is derived from the effect of inducing luteinization of ovarian follicles. So what about follicle stimulating hormone? FSH stimulates the maturation of ovarian follicles. And it was found that the administration of FSH to humans or animals induce superovulation and hence an increased number of mature gametes. As well, FSH is also critical for sperm production. It supports the function of Sertoli cells, which in turn support many aspects of sperm cell maturation. So how about the control of gonadotropin secretion? As you can see from the figure again, the hypothalamus produces gonadotropin releasing hormone which affect the pituitary, which secrete from the gonadotropins LH and FSH that promote the secretion of the hormone from testes and ovary. And as we said, there is a negative feedback loop on the level of the pituitary or hypothalamus. So the gonadotropin releasing hormone, also known as LH releasing hormone, is the principal regulator for both LH and FSH secretion. The gonadotropin releasing hormone is a 10 amino acid peptide that is sensitized and secreted from the hypothalamic neurons and binds, of course, to the receptors of the gonadotropins in the pituitary glands, which represent around 10 to 15% of the cells of the pituitary glands. This gonadotropin releasing hormone as well stimulate the secretion of LH, which in turn stimulate the secretion of gonadal hormones of the sex steroid, either testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. In a classical negative feedback, these sex steroids produced by the gonads inhibit the secretion of gonadotropin-releasing hormone and have as well a direct negative effect on the gonadotropins of the pituitary gland. This regulatory loop make the secretion of LH and FSH as pulses. In female, this pulse frequency is related to the stage of the menstrual cycle. What about estradiol? Estradiol is at high plasma concentration in the late follicular phase of the ovarian cycle. And this estradiol will stimulate gonadotropin releasing hormone and the LH surge. So the presence of the estradiol in the plasma of the blood will trigger ovulation through affecting the gonadotropin releasing hormone. So the presence of estradiol in the plasma will trigger ovulation through the stimulation of the gonadotropin hormone. So let's see some other hormones that may affect as well the secretion of SH and LH. So one of the hormones called kisspeptin, its gene is called KIS1, and it produces a peptide that in normal men its acute administration will increase the level of all these hormones, FSH, LH, and testosterone. In normal women, this kisspeptin will increase the gonadotropin releasing during pre-ovulation surge. What about leptin? Leptin, it's a product of the peripheral adipose tissue. So majorly leptin is secreted from the peripheral adipose tissue. This leptin, it have a receptor, these leptin have receptors, and they are expressed on the gonadotropin releasing hormone secreting neurons. So the receptor of leptin is on the neurons in the hypothalamus that secrete gonadotropin releasing hormone. And they found that this leptin hormone accelerate the gonadotropin releasing hormone. Again, we can see that this leptin will affect as well the gonadotropin release hormone, will accelerate its pulsatility activity. What about inhibin and activin? These both hormones are gonadal peptides. They selectively inhibit and activate FSH secretion from the pituitary. For testosterone, which can be secreted from Leydig cells stimulated by the LH, these lead to a feedback inhibit, as we said before, feedback inhibition of the gonadotropin releasing hormone production from the hypothalamus, and as well downregulate the gonadotropin releasing hormone receptor, which exists. This gonadotropin release hormone receptor, it is located on the surface of the gonadotrophs of the pituitary gland. The progesterone suppresses ovulation on both levels as well, have a negative feedback on the level of the pituitary and the level of the hypothalamus. For dopamine and the prolactin, they as well inhibit the gonadotropin releasing hormone. The overproduction of prolactin via the pituitary tumor shut down gonadotropin releasing hormone. In this case, a case called amenorrhea, in which the menstruation cycle stops, or there is inefficient or insufficient production of breast milk, a case which is called galactorrhea. So what about gonadotropin deficiency? So either these deficiency can result from a congenital or acquired. These may arise from either hypothalamic or pituitary lesions. For the hypogonadotropic hypogonadism, these can be as a result of a functional disorder or organic disorder. The function cause is due to stress, malnutrition, chronic illness, depression, excessive exercise, and low body weight, while the organic cause may be due to the malignant disease, tumors, hypothalamic or pituitary damage from surgery or radiotherapy. The decrease in LH or the decrease in FSH will lead to a failure in the gonadal function. A case is called hypogonadism. In male, it is obvious in the failure in the production of normal number of sperm, while in female, it leads to a cessation of the reproductive cycle. While the increase of the blood levels of both of them, the gonadotropins, will reflect lack of steroid negative feedback, because when LH and FSH increase in the blood level, the loop of the negative feedback loop must be affected, since, as we said before, that the increase of the levels of the gonadotropins, the same hormone themselves will initiate a negative feedback on the level of the pituitary and or the hypothalamus to decrease the concentration in the plasma. So the constant increase in the level of gonadotropins will reflect that there is a problem in the steroid negative feedback. Scientists have found that removal of the gonads will increase the LH and the FSH. In humans, the excessive secretion of FSH and or LH most commonly result of gonadal failure or due to pituitary tumors. As you can see from the figure, the FSH with up till now or not approved is affecting as well the secretion of LH through the Sertoli cells that is secreted by Sertoli cells and will affect testosterone and sperm, as well as in female The FSH, which can activate the estradiol as well and follicle growth, is affecting as well the concentration of LH, which lead to the oocyte maturation and the production of androgens. So how the pharmacological manipulation of the gonadotropin secretion? That's mean what is the kinds of drugs that is used or medication that is used to control the gonadotropin secretion. The normal patterns of gonadotropin secretion are required for reproduction. So interfering with the LH secretion is widely used as a strategy for contraception. Of course, to regulate the reproduction. So the first approach as a medication is the oral contraceptive pills. With these pills contain progestin, which is a progesterone mimicking compound, and that is combined with an estrogen. And these pills lead to the inhibition of the LH surge that, of course, we have said before, that induce the ovulation. The second approach, which is very obvious approach, is the block the gonadotropin releasing hormone receptor. That means these receptors are located on the surface of the gonadotrophs in the pituitary gland. So when you use a medication that inhibit or block this receptor, this will augment or stop the binding of the gonadotropin releasing hormone to that receptor. And of course, this will suppress the gonadotropin secretion. The third approach is the gonadotropin releasing hormone receptor antagonists. So in this case, this medication or this molecule will bind and block as well the receptors. And these are potent contraceptive effect on both male and female. So you can see here, let's see how the gonadotrophs work in its cycle of induction of hormone secretion. So initially, the gonadotropin influence, you can see that it starts with the follicle cells. Due to the FSH wave, the release lead to the enlargement of these cells depending on the presence of and the amount of FSH. Soon after that, there is a selection to the cells in order to decide on the ova that will be complete to mature in the presence of FSH and LH transition. That's mean FSH and LH transition in concentration. And you can notice that there is increase in the diameter after selection for the follicle cells. In case there is, in case normally, if the LH is still in the optimum concentration, this regulate the transformation or the maturation of the and development of the follicle, evident by the increase, evident by, sorry, as you can see, evident by the increase in size, and this is dependent on LH. And this increase in size, soon after that will be the mature follicle. So you can see basically there are three regions of the for the maturation of the ovum. There is a region that is FSH dependent. There is a region that LH dependent, and this region considered to be the transition state that needs the existence of both hormones. And during this, the initial FSH dependent, you can see that there is a selection procedure process leading to selection of some of the cells to select one of them that have a dominance appearance and will continue to mature. Normally, if there will be no pregnancy, of course, any of these stages will go into a atresia, okay? So here we'll see a chart or a diagrammatic sketch for the regulation of gonadotropins. So starting from the hypothalamus, it secretes by its neuron the gonadotropin releasing hormone. This gonadotropin releasing hormone is sensed by the gonadotrophs, the receptors of gonadotropin releasing hormone, which exist on the gonadotrophs, the cells responsible for secreting the FSH and the FSH and LH. And this as well will lead to induction for the gonads to secrete the testosterone and estradiol. This testosterone and estradiol can have a negative feedback effect on the level of the pituitary and level as well on the hypothalamus. You can see as well that the gonadotropins can secrete inhibin and the activin, which the inhibin and activin can stop the activity of the pituitary cells, as well with unconfirmed link can stop the activity of the hypothalamus. The activin will activate and the inhibin will inhibit. So you can see here that the key of the figure, the arrows that shows the stimulation and inhibition. So what about gonadotropin deficiency? In women, it may lead to loss of libido, as well as oligomenorrhea or amenorrhea, as well as vaginal dryness or dyspareunia, as well as loss of the secondary sexual characteristics, as well as the deficiency in estrogen. While in men, will lead to as well loss of libido, as well as erectile dysfunction, as well as infertility and loss of secondary sexual characteristics, and deficiency in the testosterone and atrophy of the testis.